Hello, my loves. There is something fascinating about people who stay calm when emotions rise in a conversation. Some people escalate rather quickly, they defend themselves, they over explain, they try to win the argument, but others do something very different. They stay completely composed. And one person who became known for that kind of composure was Carolyn Bessette-Kennedy. And I don't know if you're living under a rock or if you've watched the documentary. I think it's called A True Love Story or A Love Story. It's either on Peacock or Netflix, one of those. But she lived under intense public scrutiny, constant attention, can you imagine, from the press, and endless speculation about her life. And yet she rarely ever reacted publicly. She didn't over explain herself, she didn't feed into the drama. And I admire that about her. I've always looked at her as a style, simple icon, although my style's a little different than hers. I would never try to be somebody else's style. She was just simple. She was natural. But most arguments, as we know, don't start with yelling. And I felt like this conversation fits so perfectly into Leave the Drama at the Door. The series is a three-part series, episode 14, 15, and 16, and then we are continuing on. Actually, yeah, I think those are the episodes 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, all up in there. We're talking about Leave the Drama at the Door, and you guys have been loving the content, and it feels so natural for me to talk about this because this is something that is basically a skill set and a practice that a lot of women were never, ever, ever taught. You will not learn this in school. These are relationship skills that, again, some people go their whole life and never, ever, ever develop these skills. So they're what I teach and taught inside of my life coaching to my students. I bring this type of energy to my live classes. And anyway, they start with something much smaller, meaning like arguments or drama. Usually it's a question or a misunderstanding or a moment where someone feels really defensive, and suddenly that conversation that maybe you walked into that was just going to be so simple, like here's the question, I'm just looking for the answer, and that person got real defensive with you. That's where emotional composure becomes one of the most powerful skills that you can develop. And I talk more heavily about this inside of Dare to Say No. That is a program that is just a 7-day program. It will change your life forever and ever. I promise you, it's only $22. But anyway, today we're talking about something I call the Carolyn, or if you want to go deeper, the Carolyn Bessette method. And I'm also sharing this inside of the shop later today. It's going to be something that you can get your hands on, and it's going to be good. So let's go over the 10 rules for leaving drama at the door in relationships. Rule number 1, stop over explaining. When you start to over explain yourself, you give people more material to actually twist your words. So catch yourself. Interesting. You clarify, and then you clarify the clarification. And suddenly the conversation becomes about defending yourself instead of discussing the issue if you're the defensive person. So confidence doesn't require a long defense. State your point and make it clearly. The best thing for a boy mom is you should be really good at this by the time your boys have hit high school. If you're a boy mom, you know that a text is a simple okay, yes, got it. Like, they're real simple to the point. And I personally used to take that like, golly, that's it. That's all I get. But they're simple people. They're simple. That's how their brain works. They don't confuse emotion inside of, anything else. So again, they don't require a long story. They don't require a long defense. They just state their point very clearly. And that's rule number one. Stop over explaining. That's the Carolyn way. So, rule number two. Correct misrepresentation calmly. Sometimes someone will twist what you said. Instead of reacting emotionally, we want to keep it simple. You can say, "That's not what I said," and then stop. You don't need a speech. Clarity is stronger than emotional reaction. And again, that goes back to rule number one. Stop over explaining yourself. Say what you mean and stop there. You don't need a speech. Rule number three. Refuse emotional bait. Sometimes people redirect the conversation with statements that sound like maybe, "Oh, I just can't do anything right, can I?" Or, "So I guess I'm the bad person here now." These two statements are just two examples of trying to shift the conversation into guilt. Don't chase them. Stay calm and stay on the original topic. Rule number four. Emotional containment is power. This again, I teach inside of Dare to Say No. That program you can get inside glitteru.com/the shop. The loudest person in an argument rarely controls the outcome. The calmest person does. Emotional containment doesn't mean suppressing your feelings. It's a skill to actually be able to control your feelings. It means choosing how and when you express them. Calm energy changes the entire tone of a conversation. Rule number five. Not every conversation needs immediate resolution. This one took me a long time to practice and to learn. There's a myth that every disagreement must be solved immediately, especially if you're a squirrel, especially if you're a woman, especially if you're a mom. We feel like we need to solve everything right now. But sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is press the pause button. Step away. Let the emotions settle. And you don't need to announce it to the world. Just zip it up, zip it, zip. Many conversations become more productive after a little time. Let the dust settle. Come back to a regulated nervous system. Your body, sometimes when you want to react, it's in a state of fight or flight. And sometimes people will say things that they don't mean, and we can't ever take those back. And they scar. They stay with the person that, your words are powerful. The Bible says the tongue, right? It's like a sword. Rule number 6, protect your personal stability. People communicate very differently when they feel secure with themselves. This is huge. This is the Carolyn way. She communicated so differently from most women because she was so secure with who she was. When you maintain your own emotional stability, you bring a calmer presence into conversations. The stability creates clarity. Rule number 7, observe patterns, not moments. One difficult conversation doesn't define a relationship. Patterns do. Instead of reacting to every single moment, step back and notice communication patterns that happen over time. Patterns tell the real story. And maybe that person you're trying to communicate with doesn't process or communicate in the same way that you do. That's 90% of the time. So if you watch the patterns and learn, they tell the story of how the person likes to be communicated to or even understands. Like you can produce the communication in a way that they can actually receive it without getting so defensive. Rule number 8, speak in observations, not accusations. There's a big difference between saying, you always do this, and saying, I noticed something. Observations invite explanation. Rule number 8 is golden. Accusations invite defense. So if you are the person who is always going to your partner, your spouse, your kid, your family member, your partner at work, your coworker, whatever, and you lead with, you always seem to blah, 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 or you always do this, da, 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 da. Try to rephrase that and see how different their reaction is. And again, that's going from an observation that's going to invite explanation versus accusations, like you always do this, that invites them to be very defensive. So I would say next time, approach it more with, hey, I noticed something different, or I noticed something that I wanted to talk to you about. Rule number 9, don't chase emotional engagement. You cannot force someone into deeper communication. So if you are the girl that's sitting on the sofa next to your boyfriend's not saying anything, he's watching TV, and you're just like, why are you so quiet? What are you thinking about? Like, if that is you, this is for you. Rule number 9, don't chase emotional engagement. You cannot force anyone into deeper communication. Not everybody likes deeper communication, and that's okay. Trying to pull emotional engagement out of someone often creates way more tension than was there in the first place. It's usually in your head anyway. So maintain your composure, allow space for communication to happen organically, naturally. And for someone who may sit next to you and not talk a lot, think about this. What if they just purely enjoy your company and your presence and your being? And they don't need to say it, but they can feel it. That's something that is so special, and you don't need to talk about it. Rule number 10, protect your dignity. At the end of the day, the goal in a conversation isn't to win. Nobody's here to win. It's to maintain respect. Respect for yourself. Respect for the other person. Staying calm protects your dignity. I'm going to share with you some simple responses that I call the Carolyn responses, the Carolyn Bessette responses. What she would say. And maybe you can borrow them. Maybe you like them. Maybe you don't. But I think you will. Here are 5 simple responses that can help keep conversations very calm when emotions start rising. Number 1, that's not what I said. Simple, clear, no argument, stand in your words. Number 2, that's not what this conversation is about. When someone gets defensive, deflection, gaslighting, starts taking a turn down another lane, and you're like, wait, that's not even what I was saying. That's not what this conversation was. Simply say, that's not what this conversation is about. And go back to where you were and say it maybe again. What is the conversation about? What was the issue? Number 3, I'm trying to have a calm conversation. And stay calm. Don't yell that. Number 4, I'm not going to continue if this becomes disrespectful. And number 5, let's come back to this when we can both speak calmly. These work well, and they follow the Carolyn energy. They're short, they're neutral, they're non-reactive, they're boundary setting without escalating to anything more. They also align very nicely with Dare to Say No, the boundaries philosophy, and leave the drama at the door, the framework. So if you'd like, you can find these in glitteru.com/the shop. I would love for you to try at least the Carolyn, if nothing else. The Carolyn's like $11.11. $11.11. Go grab her way of doing things and practice. You can make it like your little go-to. Put it in your journal. If you're a pen to paper person, I am so old school, you guys. I got my little Louis Vuitton little calendar that I put in my purse, and I write in it like I did when I was in high school. I don't like all this techie stuff. I keep it I keep it written. Pen to paper, there is so much power in pen to paper. Brain dump. Get all the thoughts out of your head. If you're angry about something, put it on paper. If you're scared somebody's going to find it, burn it when you're done. All right, you guys. Look inside glitteru.com in the shop. Go under the standards and you'll see Dare to Say No, which is the 7-day boundary setting program. You're going to love it. 22 freaking bucks. That's nothing. Everyone's got 22 bucks. I'm pretty sure you spent that at Chick-fil-A and Starbucks. So make the investment in yourself and then also grab the Carolyn. All right. I love you so much. I can't wait for the next one. This series, you are loving it and so am I. Bye.